The 16th and the 17th century was the peak of "oh, I found this in my backyard" for the Europeans, where these guys found something here and something there. And this was the time they invented this box with a metal stick inside. And also, it was a fun and adventurous tale you could tell to your grandchildren once you get old. And that's how I got the bullet scar on my ear. Dude, it's not even historically correct. Sorry, my bad. Not all voyages were that way. Here is a bone-chilling and most tragic tale from the bottom of the lead-filled tuna can. Aww, you sneeze like a kitten. The English, while doing the normal 19th century English things, wanted to get from here to here faster. But since they are stuck on this stupid island, it's hard for them to do their things. But there was a way nobody had yet thought of. It was the Northwest Passage. After finding that the Earth is round, they thought, hey, why not go this way rather than this way? But they knew it could be a less than ideal trading route. Even if the whole thing was useless, it was one of the last places on Earth that was uncharted by the powder-wigged Europeans. Mind you, there were already Inuit people living there even before these guys got there first time. So after they decided to find the elusive Northwest Passage, they met this guy, Sir John Franklin, as the captain. The crew was provided with more than enough resources, including things like 2 tons of tobacco, 7,500 liters of liquor, around 12,000 books, theater costumes, and one more brand new invention, canned foods, 16,000 of them. It was significant because they did not have to stop for food anywhere else, and they were given 2 naval ships, Erebus and Terror. They modified it to withstand the breaking of the ice. And it was the 19th century after all. There was no lack of new invention. New steam engines with screaming 3 horsepower, and this new beautiful piece of art that could convert the salt water into drinkable water. Nice. The guys in the shed must be up to witchcraft or something. They even took a dog named Neptune, monkey named Jacko, and a cat with them. Well, why not? The more the merrier, right? Also, they were in the hands of the trusty musty Captain John Franklin. Look at him, with his manliest hat and all. He has sailed in the Arctic Ocean before. His crew almost died trying to find the Northwest Passage. With that experience under his belt, he was selected for the job. After kissing his wife and kids goodbye, they set their sails to make history. But not the good kind. The traveling part happened without a hitch. After some rest in Scotland, in 1845 they entered the Lancaster Sound. Then entering the Baffin Bay, they met 2 whaling ships. These would be the last people to see them alive, ever. Because of the thick ice on that season in the Arctic, they traveled more than they should have. At the end of the winter, they were just 350 kilometers away from the Baffin Bay. Throughout the winter, the ship was parked on ice, where the crew packed snow against the ship's sides for better insulation, and they even made tents on the ship's deck. It is at this time that the tragedy clock would start ticking. 3 men would die in the period of 1845 and 1846 by contracting pneumonia. They buried the 3 in the beachy island. Before the burial, the doctor on board tried to figure out the cause of death. Even though they knew the final cause of death, it was not the only cause. They suspected something else too contributed to the deaths of their mates, but they couldn't put their finger on it. In any case, the summer happened. They started their journey once again. They got to the edge of the map they had at that time. From now on, it will be unknown, uncharted lands. Near King William Island, they had to make a decision to sail toward the eastern side or to the western side of the King William Island. Given that their goal is to find the Northwest Passage, they decided to sail toward the west side. What could go wrong? They could not have been more wrong. The west side they sailed through was like a funnel collecting all the broken ice chunks from 2 channels. After waiting in the ice for a few months, winter froze the water once again, making them stuck in the ice. It was too early for the ice. Back in Britain, Lady Franklin got more and more worried. She knew her husband would spend a couple of winters in the Arctic, but she couldn't stop the nagging. First, she requested the British Naval Command to send rescue operations for her husband. Then it got weird. Get me my husband back, you son of a bitch! Ow, ow, ow! Unhand me, you witch! Ow, ow, ow! After a while, convinced that they won't do anything, she started to ask for help from everybody. One of her personal friends, Charles Dickinson, helped her by using his writing skills. But she was right. It was the exact time the crew got stuck and was suffering. In the May of 1846, back in the land of ice, 8 members of the expedition got back to King William Island and left 2 copies of letters for the explorers to find. The letter gave the coordinates of the ships stuck in the ice. In the letter, they wrote that everything was well. It was the time they jinxed it. They kept it under a big rock to keep it safe. The crew, thinking that they would leave the place soon, left the message. But due to Mother Earth being Mother Earth, they were forced to spend the summer months stuck in the ice. Probably it was the Industrial Revolution. With nowhere to go, the crew of both ships moved to the Erebus to share each other's warmth. Using terror as a cold storage, they put all their foods and supplies in one place. The crew stopped eating the canned food after noting something was off. Remember the 3 who died before? They had abnormal levels of lead in their bones. The 16,000 cans of food that they brought on the expedition with them was bad. Most of the canned food was either spoiled or had fungus growing in them, making half of it useless. It turns out, in an effort to cut costs, they bought the canned food from the lowest bidder. The worst part was the lead was used to seal the cans. The crew was not only consuming a very low nutritional food, but also lead, which usually makes people dumber. Lead was a common material used in sealing the cans before they found out it was a stupid idea. With nothing to forage or to hunt in the vast, barren Arctic land, they were forced to eat whatever remained in their ships. Even if they caught something, eating it without cooking could expose them to dangerous pathogens. With the sea still frozen and ships stuck in the ice for 2 years, there was no sign of rescue. They had to make a choice. So on the 25th of April, they once again returned to the King William Island after being stuck for almost 2 years, and they placed another letter under the big rock. In this letter, they wrote that Sir Captain John Franklin died, leaving Francis Crozier in charge. Hey! Too soon? Along with the 9 officers and 15 crew members would die in the span of 2 years. It also stated that the ships had been deserted on 22nd of April, and 105 survivors would try to go to the north of Canada, but some of them returned to the Erebus where there was still some food and warmth. To reach the nearest post, they had to go from here to here, so they had to walk through the cold, tugging huge rowboats. With lead poisoning showing its effects, it was just painful. Around this time, the Brits in their homeland decided it was a good time to start searching for them. The Brits offered 20,000 pounds to the people who assisted in finding the expedition, and many people tried to find them. And one of them, John Ray, was the person who would actually find something useful. The people who were living there, the Inuits, have seen these people. They were really helpful in finding the Erebus and Terror, and they also sheltered a group of 4 where only one was starving. They later found out he was the only one who refused to eat his own crew member. Shocked and yet kind Inuits took them and fed them for a while, and they had to move on and abandon them. Oh come on, it was the Arctic, what were they supposed to do? Hearing it, John Ray was shocked.
Hey, shocked, act shocked.
Oh. When the Brits back home heard the news, they were furious. They thought no way a Brit soldier would do cannibalism. The whole British public was in denial. They cursed the Inuits for giving false information. But everything given by the Inuits were on point. If the Brits had believed them, they would have found them sooner. But no, they had to be the stupid Brits who thought they were superior to everybody. A few months later, a search party would find the 3 dudes buried in the beachy island, which made them think, maybe something have indeed gone wrong. Again, John Ray would find Inuits claiming that they have seen pits with at least 30 corpses, butchered for meat. Again, suggesting cannibalism, and again, Brits were angry. At the end of 1859, an expedition funded by herself, Lady Franklin, would come upon the stone where John's crew kept the letters. Even after that, she would refuse to accept her husband's death, and would go on to make his husband a hero. And as for the question, did they find the Northwest Passage? Yes, they did, but partially. All of these stories and mysteries would go on to inspire many. One of them was Roald Amundsen, the first person to find the Northwest Passage. Inspired by the Franklin's expedition, he said, oddly enough, it was the sufferings that the Sir John and his men had to go through attracted me. A strange urge made me wish that I too would go through the same thing. Only to die ironically in a plane crash in the Arctic waters. Okay, that was fun, huh? Anyway, thanks for watching. Bye bye. See ya!